with romance and emotional attachment in particular, we're looking for that kindness in the chin that you show so often. Yeah.
The chin is a good indicator.
Our achy breaky heart is on our chin.
Really? How do you know the difference between someone who wants to use you or take advantage of you in life versus someone that wants the best for you?
The facial expressions are going to tell you every time. So exactly like what I was talking about earlier, if you had met me and you had said, so great to meet you, and you're growling, no, you're not happy to meet me. Or you're saying, oh, I heard you got a promotion at work, and you're doing the bunny rabbit twitch right here. You don't like that at all, no matter what your words are saying. But if you say, I'm so proud of you, and your cheeks pop up and you get these smile bags, and I'm going, oh, I said something really vulnerable when we just met. We talked for 5 or 10 minutes before we started this interview. And as soon as I said something about something that was hard, you puckered your chin, and you just do that intuitively. That's empathy. That's kindness. That's, I feel your pain. I care about that. I worry about that. I want you to be okay. And so when we see that empathy, that person's really feeling our feelings with us. And you talked about mirroring earlier, and we mirror other people's expressions all day long, especially when we're connected with them. So back to that question that you asked, how do you tell, or can you change your facial expressions? I can change my facial expressions by changing the ideas in my head. So I had to fire a board member once, and he'd done these egregious things, and we decided as a board that we needed to do it as a group because this person was going to try to go out to constituents and try to destabilize the whole organization. And so we sat down and they said, Annie will do it. Annie's not afraid of conflict. So I started reading this list, and I said, we need you to understand that this is unanimous, and we are firing you from your position, and here is why. And I was growling at him as I was saying. Yes, because I was saying these horrible things that he did, and
disgusted at them.
I was disgusted. And then I'm thinking, because I know that I've got all these people that I have to get along with, and they're watching me growl like a dog, and I needed to change my own expressions, and I can't create those full parallel lines of thought, but I could feel myself just getting more and more worked up. So I just repeated in my head, loving kindness, loving kindness, loving kindness.
While you're saying these things you don't agree with. Wow.
Yeah. And I got pulled aside afterwards from a friend that I'd been training, and she said, you're halfway through.
You switched.
You switched. And I said, oh yeah, here's what I did. It's the only way I know how to do it.
It's kind of like thinking, okay, I'm not enjoying this, or maybe I'm having a difficult conversation with this person that naturally my facial expression would snarl or growl or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm going to intentionally have as much compassion for this person as well. I don't agree with it. I don't like it. Maybe they wronged me or hurt me.
Right.
But how can I also see the humanity in the person and I guess wish the best for them in the future? It doesn't mean you have to.
Which is most of the people. I mean, we just had a conversation about, the people that wish you ill and the people that wish you well, but most of the people are kind of in the middle.
Yeah, of course.
They're just kind of struggling along, which is exactly what you're saying, right? They may not be the best person for you to have close in your life. Maybe you don't want to work with them. Maybe you don't want to be friends with them, but they're not inherently evil.
Yes.
They're just somebody that you're saying, hey, this doesn't work for me. And yes, that's how I cheat the system of my microexpressions, is by loving kindness, loving kindness, loving kindness.
Compassion,
just trying to find that empathy because most people are struggling.
There's a Swedish movie remake that's an American movie now, I guess. Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I don't know if you've seen this movie. Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
It's too scary for me. I think there's some,
The English remake of it, there's a scene towards the end that essentially the psychopath murderer who locks people up in the basement and kills people or whatever, tortures them or whatever. The main character goes to the house, and because he's kind of suspicious about him. He's like, I think he's not a good person. But he's in a position of power. He's part of this family business. And he's going up to the house to kind of check on his intuition and to snoop around. And then all of a sudden, no one's there, but then the bad guy drives back in and enters the house, and he kind of gets caught. And he's outside walking around, and the guy's like, oh, why don't you come on in? But intuitively, he knew something's off, but he goes in anyways to be courteous, right? He's like, okay, like social courtesy. Okay, I'm going to go in and just have a conversation so it doesn't look like I'm suspicious. Eventually he, drugs him or catches him. He's in the basement, tie him up, and he's having this conversation with him. The bad guy's having the conversation with the other guy. And he's saying something like, isn't it interesting that our intuition knows, but we still have that conversation with someone, even when we know emotionally we should run away. But a lot of us do this in intimacy or relationships. I feel like I've done this in the past.
Yeah.
Where we know we shouldn't be in this relationship. We should get out. Or we start dating someone and we know like, oh, there's some red flags or some signs that things aren't matching, right?
Right.
How can we tell either the signs or the flags when we're dating someone that we should really take this a lot slower?
Yeah, can you feel it? You're doing you're doing this. Which
triangle,
is the
triangle.
Right? That
clenching.
Yeah, that's the fear. That's the oh crap, because you know what that feels like, and you.
So is that more our reaction to someone or watching their facial expression do that? Like if we're...
Yeah, you're doing it right now as you're thinking about something that's worrying, that's concerning, and you're like, and then that was the discomfort, right? They're like, yeah, I remember what that felt like. That's uncomfortable. That's not safe. That's this. And so your face is live narrating your words, and it's matching perfectly, right? So your words and your facial expressions match perfectly.
But if someone's going out on a date or they're dating someone or they're in a relationship and they're like, how do they really know the difference between a potential narcissist or a sociopath or someone who's out of alignment versus someone that could be a healthy, conscious relationship for them?
So first of all, it's a great question. And we know in our gut. I mean, I always point to my solar plexus because that's where I feel it. I always feel like this little almost sting right there. We know in our gut, and the problem for so many of us, especially those of us who've experienced trauma in our childhoods, is that our pain was intentionally or sometimes not intentionally dismissed. And we have been taught that our emotions aren't real and we can control everything. And really we have this great security system in our bodies that does exactly what you're talking about, that tells us danger, danger, alert, alert. And what I am trying to do is get this information out into the public so that people who are young are able to make safe and healthy decisions about who to align with romantically, professionally, and even when it comes to friendships. So if you and I are going on a date and say you're somebody who really doesn't wish me well, I can...
Or I'm trying to get something out of you. I don't have good intentions.
Right. You don't care about my feelings. You don't care about my emotions. Maybe you're attracted to me, but we're looking for attraction and emotional attachment. Most of us who want a real relationship, we want those two things. We want the person to be attracted to us, and we want the person to be emotionally attached to us.
Yeah, or emotionally committed, or
something, right?
Yeah.
To care about our feelings at the very deepest of levels.
But how do you know? Because there's probably some either women or men who are like going on dates that can act like they care, but they really just want the money, or they really just want the sex, or they really just want to use them in some way for their benefit.
Right. So they're saying the right words, and generally for most of us, and it varies from person to person, but most of us feel something in our gut. Now, what I'm teaching is the facial expressions so that you can see and test and get that instant feedback before you're emotionally attached. Because most of us 6 months down the line will say about, oh, that creepy boss, or the relationship where it turns out, she just wanted me for my money, or he just wanted me for sex, or vice versa, right? That we know it, but if we can see the science in it immediately, we're unlikely to attach ourselves. We see the red flag. So what that does is it strengthens their gut. So for my children, for example, if they said to somebody, hey, do you want to come over? And that person did that no expression, they knew the person didn't want to come, but they didn't know why. Or again, if they're saying something nice and complimentary but showing the no face, they don't believe it. They're not believing. Their body is saying, no, I don't actually believe this. With romance and emotional attachment in particular, we're looking for that kindness in the chin that you show so often. Yeah.
The chin is a good indicator.
Our achy breaky heart is on our chin.
Really?
So if I tell you something that's emotionally, physically, or financially painful for me, in general, you'll and just me saying that right now, you're like, oh, that's a lot. right? They're like, she's going to be watching me to see how I respond, which is totally normal too. That fits. But if I were talking to you about a child with a learning disability or a family member that was going through health problems or something, your little chin is working the whole time because your heart is
I'm
like,
connected
right,
to it.
you're connected. And so if we're in a relationship or starting a relationship with somebody, we're starting to show our own vulnerability, they should be mirroring that vulnerability in the chin.
It's not as much the eyes, it's more the chin.
No, that's all of our vulnerability. So vulnerability is a piece of sadness, it's a piece of empathy, and it's a piece of love.
Right. Wow. That's beautiful. Thank you for watching this video. If you want more inspiring clips like this, make sure to click right here to subscribe and click right here to watch that next video that is specific to support you in your life.